Oh, good. So, I was worried we were going to drop some packets, but everything seems okay. So, very late in the night time, going to try and learn some C++. And we're on the C++ primer, 5th edition. .1.0. Simple statements. Where is my cursor? I'll update that. Whatever. Wham. I've got my my wireless keyboard, which I have placed in a strange position. Found some batteries for it. It's all good. I'm just going to move this mic. 2 seconds. Okay, I'm not going to move this mic. It's going to stay pretty much where it was. So a statement in C ends in a semicolon. Expression statements cause the expression to be evaluated and the result discarded. So we have 2 expression statements given here. As example, ival plus 5 semicolon, which will evaluate the ival plus 5, discard the value, and move on to the next line of code. So it's, yeah, that's pretty useless. That's pretty cool. And then the next expression is cout, console out, obviously, output sign ival, which will print ival to the console, which does something at least. So that's good. So yeah. Simplest statement is the empty statement known as a null statement. Null statement is a single semicolon. It's just, wow. Null statement is useful where the language requires a statement, but the program's logic does not. Such usage is most common when a loop's work can be done within its condition. For example, we might want to read an input stream, ignoring everything till we read until we encounter a particular value. Alright, okay. And then the null statement means that it will, what was that? It will do something, but it will do nothing because it's a null statement. That's cool. That's pretty cool. Condition reads, if I was done, see and to see whether or not the read was successful. Assuming the read was successful, take back the condition test, but the value is read is equal to the value in sort. You found the value you want, while the loop is exited. Otherwise, the condition is evaluated again, which reads another value from Cn. The null statement should be commented. That way, anyone reading the code can see the statement was omitted intentionally. Okay. Cool. Very cool. Oh my god. What the hell? Oof. My intercostal muscle there is not having a fun day. At least I hope it's an intercostal muscle. Nothing behind that. Coronavirus. Compound statements. Block. Alright, a block of code. We have a block, in fact, right here. There's no real code in it at the moment because it's all commented out, but my mouse. So there's a bit where my mouse is dipping away, and my mouse does not like that. I'm gonna have to do something about this. Does anyone buy a Vox guitar amplifier? Because so I have a stack of 2 amps, which theoretically hold up my third monitor, but I'm thinking of getting a piece of plywood across the top of all this to expand the area I have to put things down, and also so I don't have any floppy zones, because right now it's just a sheet of cardboard underneath the mouse, which is, it bridges the gap between the two. Get out of here. There's still wires from when I made the headset, quote unquote, headset. Just fine bridging the gap between the two desks, but like there's a gap, a triangular gap, and it's a square piece of cardboard. Yeah, it's a mess. So we got a block, code blocks, that's fine. Compound statements used in the language requires a single statement, but the logic of our program needs more than one. For example, the body of a while or for loop must be a single statement. You often need to execute more than one statement. The body of a loop, used by enclosing the statements in curly braces. Turn the statements into a block. Oh, okay. So the internals of loops. The main body of text of a program. It's pretty cool. It's a text block, that code block, but block is not terminated by a semicolon. No. As it contains within it many pieces of code. Very cool. You can also define an empty block by writing a pair of curlies in those statements. An empty block is equivalent to a null statement. Excellent. What is a null statement? We might use a null statement. So a null statement is a statement that contains nothing but a semicolon, therefore has no logic, and the null statement can be used when the engine, the language of your programming thing requires a statement, but the logic of your program does not require a statement. That is it. What is a block? When might you use a block? A block is a series of statements bounded by curly braces. You may use a block when initiating a for, while, or if set of codes, or also around your main and any function codes that you might have. Use the comma operator to rewrite the while loop from 1 for 1 so that it no longer requires a block. Explain whether this rewrite improves or diminishes the readability of the code. Oh, I'm not going back up there. Jesus. I'm not changing what page I'm on. I've been through this. So the comma operator evaluates the left object and discards the value. Sorry, it evaluates the left but does not return the value, does not discard the value, and then it evaluates the right and returns the value. So something has a comma, something single line of code, something. I'm sure it'll be really easy. I'm sure we don't actually need to dip into that. It's really late. I'm probably not going to do this for very long. Statement scope. We can define variables inside the control structure of the if, switch, while, for statements. Variables defined in the control structure are visible only within that statement are out of scope for the statement sets. Yeah. So 5.2 statement scope. Anything within the curly braces is in the scope of the statement. If that statement is itself within curly braces of another statement, for example, a main loop, then any variables in the level above will be accessible in the level below, but variables in the lowest level, the deepest set of parentheses, will not be available outside of the scope of that code block. If we need access to a control variable, must be defined outside the statement. Yes. So this is a big problem in C, C++, is that the scope of variables, if you need it across multiple functions, has to be either bound by an overarching set of curly braces, essentially, and this sometimes boils down to having global scope variables, which are apparently bad, apparently inefficient, because they take up memory. Because once your program is open, you are running a block of code, essentially. The variables in that block of code, as I understand it, are put into memory, and you want as few global variables as possible, because every single one slows the whole program down, whereas local variables will only slow down the area that they are scoped to, or something. Explain each of the following examples and correct any problems you detect. Well, string : iterator, iter does not equal s.end code. Is that okay? I do not remember what the double colon is. We can just scroll back up because there was a table of operators just here. Double colon function global scope class scope. Simple statements, null statements, missing stuff, extraneous compound statements. Here we go. Okay, so it's a namespace thing. So we're using the iterator function from string, right? Iter does not equal the end of the string. So this is going to open up a loop of code that will run through each character of a string. I think maybe. While bool status equals find word code, if not status code. So this is gonna be a little bit shaky because bool status is equal to find brackets word. So if bool status equals find word code, so the first bit's fine, I think. When the value of find word is not null, so if it's true, if it's good, if there's a value coming out of there, bool status will trigger the while loop, and you can activate your code there and then, which is nice. and then if not status. This is a trouble area. This is a oh, I think there's some scope issue here, isn't there? Yeah. So okay, there's scope issue because we want to reference the variable status, but the variable status is defined in the while loop before, and the if is not in the while loop. So bool status will have to be defined outside the while loop. You can use it in the while loop, but you have to define it. You have to initialize it up in the code block above. And the second thing is because I think the words on the page are leading to me to assume that we're working with words or character strings, character arrays. Maybe if it's an old style C string, then there may be a problem when you assign an attribute to status, and then you check if not status, because it may give you false positives, if you know what I mean. Like it may return a value that is expected to be null but not actually null. It could be a negative value, or it could just be junk value. So it might be worthwhile checking checking status's value rather than just asking if not, and setting bounds for status. Brain says that that's wrong, but brain does not tell me how I can write it correctly. Brain says that you can't check the value of characters, strings, character arrays, or strings. Maybe check the size of or something. See if it's like 1 byte. See if it's, if it's just the null terminator at the end of the string. Or something like that. But also, if status is defined outside of the while loop, as maybe a character, or a char star, or a string, whatever, or a word, then you could typecast in the while loop, couldn't you? You could cast it as a bool. Conditional statements: if and if else. Of course, this has been superseded in Python with the aleph. It's really weird how they're writing this if and then if else. And obviously that's the way you can do it, but really the else conditional is used for setting up a second if. But I guess the if in the else if is just code that happens when else happens. It just leads on. It's fine, I guess. It's just become the norm to put the if on the same line as the else, rather than indent it, because it looks ugly if you do that. Nested if statements, here we go. Oh, well, I guess, oh, well, that's fine, yeah. This is if, else if. but you can nest them however you like. If you have an if statement and you have a broad range, you can have a second if statement within that code block as well. Instead of having sequential if else ifs, you can have if else. It's so the if statement, the else statement is code you can put. I'm talking like a goddamn idiot, but maybe it's not made clear. Oh, it's here. It's made clear. They've got an example here showing if else if else if. Yeah, beautiful. That's the kind of horrible if else if cascade that I wanted to see. Wanted you to understand is cool. Common mistake to forget the curly braces when using when multiple statements must be executed in a block. If you are writing only one statement after an if or an else, you do not need curly braces. But as was previously mentioned in the book, if you want, if your program needs more logic than your language supports, you may use a code block. So if you have an increment or a decrement, let's say an increment and a decrement, every if, you require curly braces to write both of those in because you need 2 semicolon. And if you have 1 semicolon and no curly braces, it will simply end and move to the next line of code, as if your if or your while or whatever has finished. Fun. Many editors and development environments have tools to automatically indent source code to match its structure. It's a good idea to use such tools if they are available, except when they indent the wrong stuff the wrong amount of space. Looking at you, Visual Studio, that I haven't typed in 20 minutes. Dangling Else. When we nest an if inside another if, it's possible that there will be more if branches than else branches. If indeed our grading program has 4 ifs and 2 elses, the question arises, how do we know to which if a given else belongs? This problem referred to as dangling else, common to many program languages if they have both if and if else statements. Different languages solve this problem in C++. Ambiguity is resolved by specifying that each else is matched with the closest preceding unmatched if. Okay, that's cool. That's nice. So if you have if else, the else is paired to the last if. That's nice. It says in giant letters, wrong. Execution does not match indentation. The else goes with the inner if. And if you read the code, that is what you would find. The else does go with the inner if. It has to. So how would you actually this actually brings up a bigger problem for me, because obviously that does that. And this actually is why some of those programs that I wrote way back when probably didn't work correctly. Now that you mention it, how do you truncate an if statement with no else statement with an else statement outside? I guess you just gotta use your brain and split the if else things to more even stretches. Weird. Here we go. Statements do not span block boundaries. So if the inner if ends at the closed curly before the else cannot be part of the inner if. Now the nearest unmatched if is the outer if, which is what we intended all along. Oh, my question has been answered neatly and politely. That if you want to terminate your if statement with no else statement inside a nested if statement and have an else for the external if statement, I'm getting dizzy just trying to even think about explaining this. You use curly brace. Use curly brace. So anything within a curly brace, anything within a code block is concurrent with itself and nothing outside, because the else is going to be outside the code block. It's paired with the nearest if in its own concurrent code block, which is the external one. Thank you. I was thinking that was going to be the solution, but now you've confirmed that book. Very grateful. I'm getting pretty tired. 25 minutes. I know I should have started this earlier, but hey, such is life. We will be doing Unreal Engine, quote unquote, music stuff tomorrow. Will not be in the Unreal Engine, probably. I'll be crawling through the baseline. In fact, spoiler, I deleted what we did in the last stream. Using an if-else statement, write your own version of the program to generate the letter grade from a numeric grade. I mean, that code's pretty good, but okay. Wait. Rewrite your grading program to use a conditional operator. Oh yeah, the conditional, and then left and then right. I can't even remember how to write that, goddamn. Correct errors in each of the following code fragments. Okay, we'll do this. We'll do 5.5. Using an if-else statement, write your own version of the program to generate the letter grade from numeric grade. If grade modulo 10 is greater than or equal to 3. If grade modulo 10 is greater than 7, letter grade plus equals plus. Else letter grade plus equals minus. Sure. Greater than or equal to 40. What is wrong with you, Visual Studio? Get a fucking brain for these indents. I'll slap you so hard that you will turn into Visual Studio Basic. If grade is greater than 40. I'm just going to use the code that's in the book that they've given me. So grade modulo 10. Absolutely not. If grade modulo 10 is greater than 7, so we've got a decimal style grading system which goes from this is just a oh no. No, it's we're not doing a thing about appending. We're not doing a thing about appending a grade with a thing. We're doing a thing about grade. Is equal to 100. Grade is less than 100 and grade is greater than 89, greater than or equal to 90. Letter grade is equal to A. This is getting boring. We're just gonna have 3 grades, okay? Is less than 90 and greater than or equal to what am I doing? Big brain. 80. Letter grade is equal to B else is equal to F. Uh-oh. You did silly indents. You did silly indents on all my stuff. And I hate you, Visual Studio. Oh, why are you like this? God. Everything you indented wrong. You took all my beautiful indents out. Fuck's sake. There you go, it's not functional code because we don't have a letter grade and we don't have a grade. It's fine there because it's been defined, but I've only got 15% battery life. No. It's non-functional code, but it would be functional code if we had actual in fact, we could make a functional code. Is that okay? Int grade equals CN. String, maybe string. I think we need the while. I think that will work fine. It will not work fine, will it? Well, yeah. Kinda does work fine. Pass, okay. Whoopsie. Someone typed junk into the code. So 100. S. So, you know, this whole thing needs to be in a bigger if statement, doesn't it? Ooh. Oh no. So okay, so I know we're getting distracted, but if grade is greater than 100, or grade is less than 0, letter grade is equal to invalid. Else thank you. Indented it correctly for me. Okay, so let me try this again. It's not going to throw up an errors. 101 points, invalid. Excellent. Minus 44, invalid. Excellent. 69. Pass. Nice. 88. B. This is a real stringent exam. Hey, works perfectly. Look at that, I know how to use if and else statements. What I don't know how to use is the C in and the C out. Anyway, rewrite your grading program to use an additional operator in place of the if else statement. I don't want to. It's boring. So the if else statements work exactly the same way as the conditional operators, except for the if and the else statements are included in the code just after the conditional. Correct the errors in each of the following code fragments. If ival1, there's a 1 and an L next to each other, it is an L. If ival1 does not equal ival2, ival1 is ival2, else ival1 is ival2. 2 is 0. Yes. The second line of, no, the third line of code, else ival1 equals ival2 equals 0, semicolon, is illegal. Yeah, assignment value to thing. You can't do it like that because it doesn't know if it's going to assign ival2 to ival1 first, or 0 to ival2, or 0 to ival1. If you want to initialize both values to 0, you type in ival1 comma ival2 equals 0, semicolon. That ensures that both values will be initialized to the number 0. If ival is less than minval, minval is equal to ival occurs equals 1. There's nothing really wrong with that. Oh, I see the problem. Oh, do you? Yes. So there's no curly braces. There's a code snippet, but there's no curly braces. So it would be if ival is less than minval. Curly brace. Minval is equal to ival, semicolon, enter, occurs equals 1, semicolon, end curly brace. If int ival equals get value, okay, cout ival equals ival endl. If not ival, cout ival equals if int ival equals get value, cout ival equals ival endl. If not ival, cout ival equals 0 \n. Okay, so you could, for one, put a \n in the first statement when you print it, you fucking scrub. Or you could use the endl, as we have already used. That might actually be cleaner, so use endl instead of ival equals 0 \n, because \n is dead, endl is the new king. Second thing, you need an else statement, otherwise you're going to have 2 lines of text saying the same thing. In fact, you wouldn't even need a condition, because if int ival equals get value is false, then it will simply go to the else statement as a switch. That's fine. What is a dangling else? How are else clause resolved in C++? A dangling else is an else which someone has tried to purpose one way, but it has become purposed another way. They have tried to attach an else to an if in an unnested section where their else is nested. Else clauses are resolved by attaching the else to the nearest unattached if statement in the same level code block. So you may resolve your dangling else by putting the code that you do not want your else to attach to in a code block, rather than just leaving it as a one-time code. It's, in fact, it's good practice to put your stuff in code blocks anyway. It's what I was taught when I was a kid. Anyway, I'm going to stop there because the next section is something I really want to read properly with fresh brain, good brain, clean brain. It is the switch statement 532 in the C++ primer book, edition 5. And I really would like to understand the switch statement because it is a very useful tool in C and C++, and I can't find it in Unreal Engine, which is kind of frustrating because I figured that it would be really easy to use in Unreal. You know, you have a thing and then you have a whole bunch of switches and then you have stuff coming off, and it would be a real great organizational tool for your blueprint, but no, apparently not. Apparently that's not how it works. Anyway, that is... Oh, I need to charge this phone as well. I need to charge both phones. Crap. That is going to be it for me today. So if you came to watch the live video, thank you for coming to watch the live video. If you came to watch the video on demand, thank you for watching the video on demand. And as always, I will see you in the next episode.